I went to Northern Illinois University and got a degree in elementary education because I thought that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Until I did my student teaching and I actually filled in as a teacher for 6 months in Sycamore to fill in for a teacher that became ill. And I found out that I was a very inadequate teacher and I just didn't like it. And part of it was that I had 36, I was a brand new teacher, I had 36 students in my class toward 4th grade. I had one child doing 2nd year high school work, he was that advanced, and I had 3 boys that did not know their ABCs and couldn't count to 10. And I had everything in between and no support. And so I thought, if this is what teaching is, I'm just lousy at it. And so I left there and I ended up starting to work for the Hilton Hotel. Well, it wasn't Hilton at the time. It was the O'Hare International Towers Hotel. It's now the O'Hare Hilton one that's right inside the airport. And I found out I was very timid, but that really made me come out because I had to deal with the public every day. And I moved up rather quickly in the management because I really did love what I was doing. However, every day there was an adventure. Talk about working with the public, that was unbelievable. I probably have a million stories to tell. My only regret, because I do have memories of some of the more memorable events that occurred there. But I'm sorry I didn't keep a daily journal because it would have been, you know, a bestseller reading. But I worked there for 6 years and I really got burned out because I was the closest manager in. And anytime there was a problem, I got caught and I had to go. And so it didn't make any difference. I never had a Christmas, to myself. I never had a weekend. Sometimes I had the manager on duty and I had to live in the hotel for like a week. And so your life is really not your own. And so after a while, I really got burned out. And so I left, and then I got hired by Motorola, and that was probably the best job I ever had in my life. I was a trainer for their computer systems. We had their computer systems in the O'Hare Hilton Hotel. And so I would travel actually I'd be working for 2 months and be off 2 months, work 2 months and be off 2 months. And I would go to site installations and train, the 24-hour staff on operating the system. Well, I love that job. It was absolutely the best job in the world, but then Motorola sold its division and that wasn't my job. But everything happens for a reason. And at the time, my parents owned their own business. My mom had cancer and was unable to work. And she was really kind of the brains of the outfit. My father was the brawn of the outfit. So the sales and everything kind of split because my mom wasn't there to keep an eye on it. And then my dad also got a catastrophic illness. So there I was, family company, it was a printing company, knew nothing about it. But if I didn't keep it afloat, my parents would have sunk. So I learned very quickly how to run a printing company, and I ran that for 3 years, and we sold it at a profit. And I was furious with my father because the new owners were afraid of the transition not happening smoothly. So my father wrote me into the contract that I had to work for them for 6 months and didn't tell me. So he comes home from the sale of the business and springs it. I was so upset because I was looking to be out of it. But again, everything happens for a reason. And so after that, I ended up just taking a little flunky type job in the community. And then one of the gals I worked with, her husband, was an executive recruiter. And he was looking for someone to fill a position in the fundraising department at Northwestern Memorial Foundation. And he thought of me. I had no experience in that area, but I thought, gee, that sounds like it's kind of fun. So I went for the interview, got the job right away, and then the boss that I was going to be working for, he says, oh, I forgot to ask you, can you type? We just hit it off, and so he forgot to give me the test, and I qualified for like admin work and all that kind of stuff. So I went back, and I took the typing test, and I typed 24 words a minute. And he was like, oh, no, And so you have to understand I've done accounting job, work. So I'm very good at helping and all that kind of stuff. But I said, oh, I'll pick it up. Anyway, it turned out that I really love fundraising, and I finally found position that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So when I was at Northwestern, I did a lot of work with sports teams, the Chicago Bears, Chicago Baseball Cancer Charities, Cubs Care, and I really had a lot of fun working like with Ron Santo, Randy Hundley, and that whole 69 Cubs team. I worked with the 85 Bears, and so that part was a lot of fun, and kind of doing all this charity work, really, I enjoyed it. Of course, I would get a lot of autographs from my nephews and their friends, and they just thought I was the most awesome auntie ever. But anyway, when I was at Northwestern, what I did, I basically did a lot of special event work. And so, honestly, if I never attend a black tie again in my life, I'll be happy, because we used to put one on about every 2 weeks. And so that was really all the society pages, everybody the ladies that lunch, the whole gamut of the North Shore were the people that I worked with there. And so that was rather rich, and just kind of learned about that. But I did a lot of grant writing, and I basically worked with the head of the gynecologic oncology department. He was working on a theory that human papillomavirus was responsible for cervical cancer. And I took a major interest in that because my mom died of cervical cancer. So I really, we really raised a lot of money, and they were able to replicate that study around the world. And they proved, yes, that the human papillomavirus was the cause of cervical cancer. So he said, Roylene, now that we know that, the exciting thing is that they will be able to work on a vaccine that will then be available, as a preventative. And so the Gardasil vaccine is out. So that was kind of nice to be a part of that ground floor, working with 5 physicians around the world that were doing this one particular study based on just a theory that they had. So that was kind of fun. But then all the hospitals, I don't know if you remember, they were buying the hospital. So Rush bought Illinois Masonic, and they sent me over there. Worked there for a year. And that's when I ended up going to work for Rotary. The only reason I interviewed at Rotary, because I hadn't interviewed for a job in a long time because I networked. So I needed the interviewing skills. So next thing I know, I was at Rotary, working there for 13 years as their, I kind of had a dual role. I was a major gifts officer, and as well as I developed their international annual giving program, which is still very active, and it's the most successful program that Rotary ever had. So I just always felt very good about that, and it really boiled down to 4 simple words, and that was every Rotarian, every year. And so as we start our new club too, I hope that all of us will participate in every Rotarian every year, and that simply means making a basic annual gift to the Rotary Foundation to support the wonderful program. So that's kind of how I got here, and then I left Rotary a couple years ago, and I really wanted to try my hand, but I always thought I'd be a great consultant. And I had a couple of clients that were interested in hiring me, and I thought if I didn't do this now, I'm going to be too old and then nobody will want me. So I did that, and it worked out great for like a year. And then the economy just kept getting worse, and I was still working, but I wasn't getting paid. And so that became a little difficult. And some of my clients still owe me money. And so anyway, I took a consulting job at Little City. And after 2 weeks of working there, they loved my work. And they said, what's it going to take for us to keep you here? And I said, well, you got to make sure you the right offer. They did, and that's why I'm there. And so I believe in their mission, and it's just wonderful to be able to help children and adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities, because you know what, they're really very special.